Hey guys, good morning. Today's lesson is for math and it's on measurement. Okay. This is just a review. These last 2 weeks have been a review for those who need a review um, in all of the skills that we've done in math. So last week we did some problems, word problems, and two-step problems. And this week we're looking at some other things. Today is on measurement and line plots. Do you remember what are some of the tools that we use to measure things in math? Okay, we've got several. Can you say them out loud? Okay, we measure with a ruler. Okay, we've used a ruler with the English system. Remember what can be measured on a ruler? Okay, we can measure in inches on a ruler, and what would be the smaller unit on a ruler? Okay, if you turn a ruler over, what would be on this side? The centimeters. Good. I'm going to abbreviate that with a cm. Okay, so we use a ruler to do some measurement. We could also use a yardstick. Okay, an English measurement would be a yardstick. If we're talking about the metric system, what's bigger than a yardstick? A meter stick. Very good. Okay. So these are some of the things we've used this year in class. Now, in the English system, we talked about inches. Today, I'm going to look at the first thing I do, I'm going to look at the inch side of my ruler. Okay. And I'm going to remember and review a little bit about what it is to make a line plot. Remember, a line plot is a way to organize a set of measurements, okay, or lengths or of something, or it could just be objects themselves. We're going to start out with a line plot on some shapes that we learned in the last unit, okay? So this line plot is going to be on shapes, and we always give our line plot a title. So Ms. Gaylord is going to write shapes at the top of hers, and she's picked a few shapes out. Do you remember what this shape is? Okay. The shape is my trapezoid. Okay, happens to be red. Okay, do you remember this shape? Of course you do. This is my square. It happens to be orange. How about this one? My rhombus. My rhombus is blue. And I'm going to go with this one, my triangle. Okay, now I'm going to abbreviate a little bit. I'm not going to have room to write the whole word, all the words there. Okay, but I'm going to write them down and abbreviate just a little bit, and I'm going to add one more. Do you remember this shape? My hexagon. I'm going to put H-E-X. Okay, so I've got my trapezoid, hexagon, square, rhombus, and my triangle. Okay, now when we made a line plot, this was just one way. I'm going to show you this way, and then I'm going to do this one from top to bottom. We can also write them from bottom up, and I'm going to show you. Okay. All right. So I'm going to start out with this shape. This one would be my trapezoid. I'm going to make an X under my trapezoid. I've got one. Okay. And then I've got this shape. One under my rhombus. I've got another one of these, so I'll put another X under my rhombus. Okay, I've got one of these under my square. Good. I've got one of these under my hexagon. Okay, I've got another one of these, another trapezoid. Okay, one of these, triangle, another one, triangle, and another one, triangle. Okay, now this is my way to organize my objects. These are the number of the objects that I have. I can see from this organizer that I have how many trapezoids? 2. I have how many hexagons? 1. How many squares? 1. How many rhombuses? 2. And how many triangles? 3. Very good. Okay. Now I can make a line plot. Okay. Now I'm going to use that information to show you that a number line is like a ruler. Remember how we learned that? That a number line would start from the lower numbers and go up to the higher numbers, okay? Just like a ruler here. If you look at my inch side of my ruler, okay, I'm going to start right here. This little finger is on 0, and I'm going to look at 1 inch, 2 inch, 3 inches, 4 inches, 5, 6, and right on up. Okay. Well, my line plot is also goes in numerical order. Okay. When I'm going to have, when I make objects like these, there's no numbers here. So this is a different kind of line plot on shapes. This time, I want to remind you of an activity we did in class. Miss Gaylord got out some things from the cabinet. She just found her spaghetti noodles, and you can do this activity at home too. If you have a ruler, and just break up your spaghetti noodles into just random lengths, okay? And you can see I've got several lengths here, and I'm going to measure them, and with you, I'm going to make a line plot. Okay, since the numbers are going to be in numerical order, I'm going to start down here. I know that none of them are 1 inch or 2 inch, so I'm going to really start with a 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I don't think I have any that are above 10, but we'll make my line plot up to 10, okay? And what I'm going to let you do is look at my number line. See how it starts at 3 and it goes up to 10. And I'm going to look at the lengths of each ruler. Okay, what is the shortest length on this line, this number line? Okay, that would be 3. What is the longest length on this number line? Okay, that would be 10. Okay, just wanted to make sure that you see how a number line goes from least to greatest. Okay. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the lengths of these spaghetti noodles. Okay. I'm going to start with this one. Now, if it's not exactly the inch that I'm looking for, I'm going to give you the closest one. Now, it's important that I started at the end. Make sure you started on 0. Okay. Make sure that you start your spaghetti noodle at the end on 0. See how that lines up with my 0? Okay, so if you can tell the closest number that this it's not exactly, but it's almost to this inch, which is the 8. So Miss Gaylord is going to put 1x above which number? The 8. Okay, this spaghetti noodle was 8 inches long. Okay, I'm going to put that one to the side. All right, so I'm going to measure my second spaghetti noodle, and I'm going to make sure that I line it up exactly with the 0. Okay, now this one actually is right in between two numbers. If it's between the 6 and the 7, if you can see between the 6 and the 7, if it's exactly between, do you know what number that would be? 6.5. 6.5. But since I don't have a 6.5 on my line graph, I'm going to have to find the one that it's closest to. And it would say, let's say it's closest to the 6. So I'm going to give that one a 6. So now I've got my 8 inch and I've got my 6 inch spaghetti noodle. Okay. And I'm ready to measure my third noodle. I'm going to make sure that I line it up with the 0. And what number is that closest to? The 6 again. Very good. So I'm going to put a second X above the 6. Now you see I have 2 X's above the 6. And I've measured 3 noodles. Okay. Very good. All right. I'm going to go for my next noodle. I'm going to make sure that I line it up with the 0. Okay. And I'm going to show you what is the closest inch that this one is. This is a little bit longer than this number, but it's closer to the 4. The closest inch would be the 4. So on my line plot, I'm going to write an X. Okay. Now I've measured 4 noodles. I want to measure 1 more. Okay. 1 more. I've got my long one. I'm going to start at the 0 here. See, and I'm going to go all the way over here. What number is that one closest to? Can you tell? It's almost to the 10. So I'm going to make 1x above the 10. Now, how many of those spaghetti noodles were 3 inches? None. How many of those noodles were 4 inches? 1. How many were 5? 0. How many were 6? 2. 7. 0. 8. 1. 9. 0. And 10. 1. Very good. Okay. So now that we know how to make a line plot, do you see what I'm missing on my plot? What did Miss Gaylord forget to put? She needs a title. A title. Okay, so I'm going to put spaghetti lengths as my title. Okay, always use a title. What do the numbers along the bottom of the plot represent? The lengths that the spaghetti noodles are, right? And we need to put a unit. Did we measure them in centimeters or in inches? We measured them in inches. Is it important that you write a unit at the bottom? Yes, you write a unit at the bottom, okay? Very good. All right, so now I've showed you 2 different ways to make a line plot. One with a number line and one with an organizer like this that doesn't have numbers, like you would organize shapes, okay? Now, tell me this question. How is a number line on a line plot like this ruler? How are they similar and how are they different, okay? You want to take our compare and contrast diagram. Let's make a Venn diagram. How are the number line and the ruler, how is a number line on a line plot and a ruler different? Okay, and how are they similar? What can we put in the similar blank? They both have what? Numbers, right? They both have numbers. This one had numbers across. Of course, a ruler has numbers. They both have numbers, and the numbers go in order, right? They go in order, okay? How is a line plot different than a ruler? Can you think of any ways? Okay, in a line plot, you can show many measurements at the same time, okay? And a line plot you can even use when you're not measuring lengths, like when we looked at the number of shapes that we found. We didn't measure lengths here. You can use a line plot in different ways, okay? It doesn't just have to be numbers. Very good, okay? All right. Let's apply this skill as we learned today, okay? All right, so in the line, when we make a line plot, what does each X mean? What did each X mean here? Each of them was a length of spaghetti, right? Okay. All right. How many X's are on this line plot? I measured 5 pieces of spaghetti, right? Okay. Now, why did my line plot start at 3 instead of 0? Do you remember what I said? I did not have any shorter pieces than 4 inches, so I started it at 3. I had no short pieces of spaghetti, okay? Now, what if I wanted to look at a centimeter side of my ruler? How would that be different than my inch side? Which one is smaller? The centimeters, okay? So are there more centimeters on a ruler or are there more inches on a ruler? There are more centimeters. About how many centimeters are on a ruler? Can you remember? About 30. 30 centimeters, and they're about as wide as your what pinky is wide. Okay, each centimeter is about that wide. An inch is about 2.5 centimeters. So which one is bigger? An inch is bigger. Very good. Okay. Now, do you remember how we used our ruler to measure things? Remember the shell activity? Ms. Keller gave every group a couple of shells. Okay, let's use our centimeter side of the ruler. And I want to measure the longest part of this trapezoid. I'm going to put my ruler up to it. Okay, I'm going to look at the longest part, not the shortest part, the top, but the longest part of this trapezoid is about 5 centimeters. Okay, if I go to measure this rhombus, is it going to be more or less than 5? I'm going to take the longest part of this rhombus and I'm going to measure it with the longest part of the trapezoid, and let's see how many centimeters. Okay, the longest part of this trapezoid, I can't really show it to you very well, but it's almost 3. It's between the 2 and the 3. The top of this rhombus is definitely shorter than the bottom of this trapezoid. Okay, so one is longer than the other. Am I able to measure them well in centimeters, or would I pick the inch side of my ruler? I would pick the centimeter side, right? Because this one is smaller than an inch. So centimeters are also good to use when you're using metric units of length, okay? Very good. Okay, so how about today for your activity at home is to find something in your house that you can measure. And even if you don't have a ruler, that's okay. How about take something that you have, maybe you have a sticky note or something. I've done that before. I can take the length of a sticky note and say, okay, I'm going to measure a book. And the book is how many sticky notes? 1. I'm going to make a mark here. 2. I'm going to make a mark. 3. And then that's about half of another one. That's the length of this would be about 3.5 sticky notes, okay? Take some things to measure and see if you can make your own line plot, okay? What would be some things that you could measure maybe around your house, okay? Maybe you want to do heights, and maybe you've got some cups, okay? Make sure to put a title on your line plot. Maybe you're going to measure types of cups, okay? Maybe mom's got some coffee cups and some paper cups or some glasses, okay? And you're going to measure how tall they are. You're going to turn your ruler this way or measure with whatever you have. And you can make a plot. Let's say you're going to start at 2 inches, 3 inches, 4, 5, okay? And you're going to measure the length of a cup, how tall it is, okay? Maybe you found 2 coffee cups that were 3 inches high in the cabinet. And then you found a couple of glasses that were 5 inches high. Make your own line plot and see if you can find something to measure, okay? Another good thing is to measure some objects, maybe in your room. Maybe you have some toys or something that you play with that you'd like to measure the way I measured my shapes. Maybe you don't have these exact shapes, but you can always find something to measure, okay? Pull out some of your toys here, okay? Maybe it's a toy like this and you want to measure it. Maybe it's an action figure or a doll. Maybe it's a Barbie doll. Maybe it's something like this, a little animal. This was a little toy mouse that I use in my Chinese lessons. Okay. Maybe you could measure some things and make a line plot for yourself. Okay. We have reviewed these math skills each day since the video started, and I want to make sure that you can always go back to the lessons that you did not listen to. Starting in April, go back to the end of March and listen because I know all the lessons did not get viewed. So don't forget to go back and do that. Secondly, go back to the iReady. I'm checking to see if you have done your iReady. Let's see if I can see real quickly if you have done your iReady. Here it is. No, let me pull it up. You should be 20 minutes each day in reading and in math. Let's see what I can pull up. Looks like you have not done any reading for the week, and you have not done any math. Okay, so make sure that you need to do those and get those in as well. Okay, all right. Thank you for viewing, and you keep going. You got a couple of more days, and we'll see you next time. Bye bye.